Okay, we're back again for another episode. Today we will be discussing the almighty Chelsea. Well, they're not so almighty right now; they're dog shite. But Chelsea being two times champions of Europe. Me, Simon, and Tom. Obviously, we're all three of us are Chelsea fans, so I felt it's um, a good time to discuss the two times we actually won the bloody trophy. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys remember from both days itself. 2012 is a bit murky in my personal head. 2021, I can remember a little bit better. But yeah, I wanted to start off by obviously discussing yeah, how your days panned out on the two finals. I know in 2012, obviously they used to have the final on a Wednesday, didn't they, back in the day? And then they changed over to Saturday, which is a lot better for a lot of people, I'm sure. McSweeney, let's start off with you. You can go with 2012 first, and then over to 2021. Yeah, what do you remember about the days themselves of the final?
Yeah, so I actually worked at Chelsea in 2012. That was my last year of working at Chelsea. I worked there for 3 years at the Megastore, but they had a shop in Kingston. So I was working full shifts. I got home around about dinner time. My nan was around. My parents at home. Brother was at the actual match itself in Munich.
Oh wow,
Because obviously seasons get older, I was a member.
yeah.
But yeah, I was working a lot that year. But yeah, I was working there. Obviously, everyone's buzzing. Can't wait. The day, I can't remember if the day dragged or not, but it was one of those. It was like, yeah, obviously we had the pain of Moscow. So it was like, I kind of felt like the odds were kind of stacked firmly against us, but it was like one of those underdog stories, wasn't it, really? So
Yeah.
the more it got sort of war on, the day wore on, and obviously the match war on, which we'll go into. But yeah, it was this anticipation. Had dinner, had a new TV in the lounge actually. So I was sitting on next to my nan on almost like a side view of the TV, and yeah, that was the obviously like a new thing as well. And are you talking about the actual build up or what happened after it?
It's
Or
just the day itself, you know, what you remember of it, you know, preparations, as you mentioned, you were working. And I think you
yeah,
mentioned a really important thing just a minute ago about the anticipation of the actual game itself. You know, no one in their right mind would ever assume we would win it because of the fact that, you know, Bayern Munich in their home ground, one of the strongest teams. I think they were obviously killing it throughout the season. There, here comes along Chelsea, sixth in the league or whatever it was, not doing great. You know, Di Matteo came in. So yeah, no one really genuinely expected us to, you know, do anything of note. Let's be honest.
yeah,
So yeah, it was
yeah.
stressful. I think it was a case of, for me personally, yeah, of course you're looking forward to it, but at the same time, you're like, oh fuck's sake, we're going to lose another final here. You know what I mean? Because of what I've just mentioned with it being Bayern Munich and in their home ground. So yeah.
Well, I actually worked with a Fulham fan at the time, and he said I was like really grounded about it. I was like, look, even after the Barcelona game, I'm just enjoying the moment. And he's like,
Yeah,
you just fucking beat Barcelona, mate. And I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, and that was like almost like the final before the final,
yeah,
similar to like England beating New Zealand in the World Cup at Rugby World Cup in 2019. That was the final before the final, but it was like enjoy the moment, and then whatever happens on the day happens. And
yeah, yeah.
I'm not normally like that. I like to kind of get ahead of myself. I'm normally the guy that's overexcited or the sort of eternal optimist. But I was like, nah, I'm fairly grounded. And you asking about 2021 as well?
Yeah, both of them. You can start off with 2012 first, and then you go into
Yeah,
2021.
so yeah, obviously that all panned out for 2012, and then the feeling was just totally different in 2021. It was like, okay, didn't expect for us to be here. I went out for lunch with my mum, sort of, or I think it was either lunch or it was like sort of coffee, that sort of thing. Had my Chelsea top on. It was the Munich top at the time as well, so that was obviously me trying to sort of rekindle the vibes from 2012. And this guy in the cafe in Rains Park that we were at, he just comes up and goes, "Good luck, mate," sort of thing. And you know, there's certain things that happen throughout the day, and you
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
you have a good feeling about it. And also because City hadn't won it before,
yeah.
and also I delved into a stat. We actually beat Man City in 1971 in the European Cup Winners' Cup semi-final.
Oh,
So we
bloody
actually
hell.
had their number in terms of European competition. So
But we beat them 3 times in that season before that final as well. Yeah.
That as well. It's like he just knew how to. Tom
Yeah.
Tuchel had that kind of that plan. As soon as he came in, it was like, I want to make Chelsea into this team that no one wants to play against. And okay, he made us pretty boring at times, but we gave up virtually no chances, shots at goal. He kept talking about recoveries, and I was thinking, what's this guy talking about? He's boring me to death. Like he's off his trolley, but clearly I was off my trolley. He was the guy in the hot seat. He knew what he was doing, and it worked to perfection, didn't it? At the end, but
yeah,
the 2021 day, obviously come out of COVID, started to get good vibes, good feelings. People wishing me luck and stuff. It's like, yeah, I've got a much better feeling about this. Yeah. Over to you guys.
I'll kick off while Timothy's kindly on mute because of his shitty microphone. So 2012, I actually don't remember much of the day itself, if I'm honest. I remember 2008 more than I do 2012, which is quite funny. But I think 2008, obviously, I was in school, so that's why I remember a bit more. But 2012, I don't remember what I did throughout the day. I must have been working. I remember when we beat Barcelona in the semi-final, like the day after that, I went into work wearing my the white Chelsea kit, which we obviously beat Barcelona in. It was an apprenticeship I was doing, and it was really laid back, so yeah, I could wear whatever I want. But yeah, during the day itself, I don't remember much of it. I remember going home, and I actually watched it by myself in my bedroom at the time. And yeah, I can remember just obviously it was so stressful. I think, in all honesty, the Barcelona game was more stressful, obviously because of the red card to Terry and being 2-0 down and just trying to hang on. You know, that felt a lot more stressful. But the Bayern Munich game was stressful itself on another level. But you know, we were in the game. We weren't really creating many chances, from what I remember. You know, they were more or less all over us. And yeah, just leading up to the day itself, I think, yeah, as I mentioned before, no real hope because of all the circumstances. We've been Bayern Munich and everything, as I mentioned. So I didn't really have, you know, that much positivity. Like, oh, we're going to get it done. I just thought, oh yeah, hopefully, like the run we had from Napoli to Benfica to obviously Barcelona, some sort of miracle run which we had. We were just hoping for one more, obviously, and we'd come on to the game itself in a bit later on. But yeah, 2021, similar to you, a lot more confident. And as I mentioned, those 3 games that we actually beat City throughout the season, so we knew we had the number, we knew we could get the job done. So a lot more confidence. The day itself, I remember going to lunch as well with a couple of friends. I actually watched the game with a few friends in my house. Went to lunch. My missus was with us as well. We had lunch together. So then I dropped my wife off with my son, I think it was, at my brother's house, and then my daughter was at my mum's house. So cleared the house with all the family, so didn't get bothered during the game. And then yeah, we actually missed the first 5 minutes because we were coming back from the restaurant. And after dropping my wife off, so we rushed back to the house. We were sort of watching the first 5 minutes in the car, I remember. Got back home and obviously stuck the game on. And yeah, obviously we'll discuss the game later on. But yeah, the day itself was a lot more better, a lot more chilled, and yeah, a lot more confidence. Tom, what about you, mate?
So for me, I remember probably 2012 a little bit better than 2021, which is a surprise because my memory is terrible. The main reason why I remember 2012 more is because on 2021 I had a steaming hangover and my head was just not in it at all to go and watch a game of football. That was like a do or die game to go and watch, and I was watching it at home as well, and the missus was in a pretty fucked off mood with me, so it was a bit of a hostile.
Oh no!
It was a hostile house to be in, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm still gonna watch the football. I don't give a monkeys. So that was a very hostile place to watch it, but yeah, I couldn't be asked to go out and leave the house. 2012, I was in uni up in Sunderland, and there wasn't many Southerners in sight in Sunderland, let alone anyone from fucking London. So a lot of the support that I had when I was up there was from like Manx and like your Mackhams and your Geordies and so on and so forth. And I thought it was really weird. Those kind of like Liverpool fans and United and City fans giving it.
Did you get many Scots up there, Tom?
We had two Scots. Both of them were from Glasgow.
Oh, so if they're Rangers, they'd be obviously well in our camp. But if they're not,
exactly. Yeah,
they ain't gonna be.
Yeah, no, they were really sound fucking dudes as well. They were really sound. They were typical heavy drinkers, as you would be pleasantly surprised at that they fucking were. But I say for the final itself, I won't get onto the match fully, but as you guys kind of dived into it like a little bit, the match itself, I was for 2012. I was more nervous against Barcelona, like you, Mudge, than I was against Bayern Munich. I don't know why. I really don't know why, because you would think like they were both the second leg against Barcelona and the final against Bayern Munich. You're in their home ground against 60,000+ fans, and like they're the absolute invincible force of their league and of Europe. And then you got little old Chelsea, who in both seasons when they reached the final and won it, had really terrible domestic leagues. I mean, those managers, in all honesty, with those teams, shouldn't have won those European titles. They really shouldn't have.
You know what, Tom? One thing I'll mention on that point, I'll just butt in about why it's more stressful. I think history has a lot to play on that for me personally, because we've had loads of games with Barcelona, a lot of tight games, especially that semi-final we had when obviously Essien scored and Iniesta got that goal. I mean, that game, I started watching it. I couldn't carry on watching it. I was that stressed out. I had to revert to the radio because it was I just couldn't watch it. You know, it was that stressful. And yeah, I think for me personally, it was the history of the games we've had with them. We've had so many games with them, whereas with Bayern Munich, there wasn't really, we beat them in 04, 05, I think, in the quarterfinal, whatever it was. Yeah. I don't remember any other games that come to mind. But yeah, I think that was what it was for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, Barcelona as well, when we played them, it kind of takes you back to that semi-final, or like obviously Simon, you can quote a year when we had those 4 penalty shouts shot down, and then you had Drogba. Yeah, I really were. And then you had Drogba. This is a fucking disgrace. It's a fucking disgrace.
Because I think the only person that's trying to be antagonistic in terms of commentary after the game is Richard Keys. Like everyone else in that studio, it's Jamie Redknapp, Graham Souness, I think possibly Ruud Gullit. Everyone was like, even Ruud Gullit, like even for being a former Blue, he's actually quite, I wouldn't say anti-Chelsea, but there's definitely, I've met the guy. There's definitely actually showing around the Megastore one year, but there's definitely something about him that's a bit like bitter about how he got sacked from Chelsea. But even he was like, yeah, these guys have been robbed. And Graham Souness was like, I just feel so sorry for Chelsea at this moment in time. And yeah, it's just because they didn't want the same final 2 years running, isn't it? Platini, those mugs that used to
100%, yeah.
Yeah, it was that. And I firmly believe we would have won it that year because United were kind of in cruise control, having just won the league, and I think we would have turned the tables and won it. But that's kind of neither here or there. It's like I think that kind of 4-year gap between it made it more special. It was like, okay, when it did finally come around, that was we were sort of absolutely buzzing for it and didn't think we were going to win it. We won it. 2021. I actually think in 2021 we fully deserved to win the tournament. Like, a lot of people say Man City were the best team in that, but I don't buy into that because we only lost one game against Porto, didn't we? In the leg.
That one wasn't even important. I mean, we had already won 2-0 first leg, or something like that.
It was like, did we play out Atletico Madrid in like Bucharest or somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, because of COVID, wasn't it?
Bucharest was the that's the one. Yeah, with a really weird bicycle kick, wasn't it? And they varred it for about a half hour.
Yeah, Giroud, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the same year when he scored 4 goals against
Sevilla? Yeah, because that was when Lampard was in charge as well, wasn't it? And we were like, the league at the time, weren't we? Like first, and then I think we went like 18 games unbeaten, and it just all came undone.
Yeah, that's the one. But that year, I mean, coming on to 2021 under Tuchel, we were a pretty boring team. Like you mentioned earlier, we were a really boring team. But when we needed to knuckle down in Europe, like against Real fucking Madrid, who are the kings of Europe, when we drew them, I was like, nah, that's it. This is like we've got Timo Werner, and we've got Havertz, and we've got Pulisic, and we've got Mount, who, in all honesty, they wouldn't be players that you would call upon to go up against Real Madrid and win a game. And we went there in the first leg. I think I was on the way home from work because I was doing the late shift, and I was listening to it on the train because my phone reception was terrible because I couldn't watch it on the Sky Go app. And I was like, we were all over them. We were all over them. Like any game in Europe that we played, we turned up, and Tommy Tuchel made sure that we turned up. And that final was shit because it was kind of half open, half closed, and we fully deserved it. I mean, it was a final that was played in the middle of the park. There was like fuck all chances, and Havertz, who again you would not ask for him to score a Champions League final winning goal, but he went round the fucking goalkeeper. I was like, that is a lot of bottle for someone that fans don't have any faith in whatsoever.
Yeah, because he started that game against Palace in the league where we actually caught one of the few games we caught fire and beat them 4-1.
Yeah,
he scored and got an assist in that game, but he missed a hat for the chances as well. It's like, yeah, absolutely. He gets a bit of fortune with the knock on, doesn't he? And then he sort of, brushes it home. But can I just say also, I was quite proud of that day because I started playing music on our group chat. Yeah, Mudge, were you part of our group chat in 2021?
Probably not.
I think you were just about to join. I think just after the Euros. I think after the final or during the tournament, but. I don't know if you caught it on the day, but I was like playing a load of music like Chelsea Dagger and all the songs that you associate with Chelsea, you know, Blue as a Colour, etc. I even played like John Newman, Love Me Again. And I was like singing and stuff and doing voice notes on the group. And I actually made Tunde think, he goes, oh God, he's drunk already. And I was like, I didn't have one drop of alcohol. I didn't have one drop of alcohol until actually just before the game. And it was even better because I remember in 2008, I was absolutely battered for that final. It's always worse when you watch finals when you're half cut. It's better when you watch it when you're like fairly sober, I find.
Yeah, I think you need to like proper be focused on it. But at the same time, if it's a shit game, you probably do want to be wasted, so you don't remember much of it.
Well, I remember Trevor Nelson, the DJ, obviously famous Chelsea fan. He said he watched the whole of the 2012 final in bed in a hotel.
Oh, really?
Absolutely brilliant. It was like, because it meant he was like, again, not expect us to win, but that's. Yeah. Did you say you were in your bedroom?
Yeah, no, me too. I watched it alone. I just couldn't do it. I watched it alone. I don't know. I was obviously at my mum's house. I was obviously still living with my mum, and I don't know. My older brother wasn't there. He normally watches the football with me, but I don't know where he was at the time. But yeah, I watched it alone in my bedroom. I think I just wanted to be like sort of. Normally, I'd watch in my living room. You know, it's like a living room is a much bigger TV, but for some reason, I was in my bedroom. I just wanted to watch it alone. I just couldn't bear it. So yeah, I think it was just too stressful.
Yeah, really. I also think even for 2012, it's similar to like Man United in '99. Not that I'm pro Man United by any stretch of imagination, but I think most English people wanted, except for Liverpool fans, obviously, of course, but wanted Man United to beat the German team.
Yeah, it was a bit too. It was too long ago for me to remember that one. In all honesty, I remember watching it on TV, maybe briefly, but yeah, I don't remember actually the full 90 minutes. I think it was the Beckham documentary not that long ago where he was talking about the final, where I actually got to experience more of what actually happened. Obviously, everyone knows the last 2 minutes, the 2 goals right at the end, but yeah, I think in general, like something that you got, I think Tom noted on with Real Madrid, the way that we beat them so comfortably as well. In that semi-final, I think that also helped going into the final, knowing, oh yeah, fuck it, we can do over City, and that whole first time in the final curse, which is always been a thing. Any team who plays in the final for the first time, they never win. So I think we had that against us as well, and then like I said, those 3 wins we already had in the season, but I think it always comes down to the fact, look at our bloody team we had in that game. You know, you guys touched on it before, Werner, Havertz, these are not world beaters. And City had, you know, a much better squad than us. You know, anyone can admit that, but we still got the job done, and we got it done comfortably as well. You know, a lot of people thought they would also batter us in terms of chances and possession and the whole lot, but we were pretty comfortable. And you know, I remember Pulisic had that chance right at the end as well. I can't remember.
Morris, wasn't it?
No, sorry. For Chelsea, I mean to make it 2-0. I
I'll
think
put yeah.
Pulisic
Sorry, yeah,
had a great chance as well. So
yeah.
apart from that, I mean, yeah, that Mahrez chance right at the end, which went over the bar. I mean, it didn't even hit the target, but I remember like, I've sort of got down on my knees and I was like, "For fuck me, that was so close." You know what I mean? And apart from that, yeah, and I got to celebrate it properly as well, shouting my head off
Well,
both times actually.
you know what happened to me after that, Mike? Because I stayed at the pub for a bit longer. Then my mate Alan's mum just rocks up in the car and goes, "Right, we're going to the bridge."
Oh,
We went
really?
down.
You went there?
Bearing in mind, it's like right during COVID as well. I got to every
Yeah.
single person in the street and just hugging them, and it was like someone could have lamped me on, but like not one person was in that sort. It was like everyone was buzzing, and it was.
Yeah.
I've still got the videos for it as well. I'll post them on the group chat later to try and nullify the absolute pain of Liverpool winning the league. So.
Yeah, I went to the parade in 2012. We obviously that parade we had the day after or whatever it was. I think it was on a bank holiday Monday or something. So I remember going with my mate. I said to him, he wasn't a football fan, but I said to him, "Right, let's go. Let's go and check out." And we went and stood around and obviously saw the buses and stuff. So that was nice. But yeah, obviously winning it for the first time. And another thing is, which I'm sure I've said to you guys in the past, I genuinely did not think we would win it again anytime soon, especially with the squad that we've had compared to 2012. I didn't genuinely think we'd win it again, even possibly in my lifetime. Like that's how badly I thought. How much of a miracle 2012 was, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But to go ahead and win it in 2021 with that shitty team just goes to show, you can put a run together, you can get the tactics right on the day, and anything can happen. The good old underdog story, ain't it, at the end of the day? So yeah, and would all three of us genuinely think we've got any chance of winning it anytime soon in the state that we're in now? Hell no. I mean, at least 10 years or so. I mean, I'll be shocked if we even qualify for the bloody Champions League, let alone make it through, all the way.
Yeah, because they just totally hampered the squad, the club, backroom staff, etc. Haven't they? Really?
Yeah, I think it's just obviously right now it's just such a mess. But one more thing I want to mention: there's a documentary that they made after it was a Chelsea TV documentary of Champions of Europe, I think, or something like that. It was called, and it had the whole story. And those are worth a watch. I think it should be on YouTube somewhere, but yeah, they're definitely worth a watch. Every now and again, I might bring it up and I watch it, and yeah, it just gives you the goosebumps all over again. So it's always nice. So I want to discuss the players we actually had in the teams during those runs. So from 2012 and in 2021, who would you say was the standout? I know there are probably going to be obvious answers for these, and there's loads of heroes. Like, for example, 2012, you can say Petr Cech for the penalty save against Robin in the final, and then obviously in the penalty shootout in the end, and so on. 2021 is a bit more open, I honestly think. But yeah, Tom, I'll start with you. In both runs, who would you say was Chelsea's star player and who basically got us there over the line?
I mean, I'm probably, for the run itself, I'll pick out the old favourites of Lampard and Terry and like the old faithfuls and Cech as well. But I'm gonna probably flip the question and my answer a little bit. I think that there was someone who came in on the final who wasn't meant to be in that final. I think it's one of the first times he played for Chelsea, and he was unstoppable, the players that he was coming up against, and that's Ryan Bertrand. Ryan Bertrand. I think that was that his first game for Chelsea?
No,
was that his first game?
no.
In
His first
Europe?
game he came on against Birmingham the season before, towards the end of the season as a sub, but it was his Champions League debut, and he's the only person to ever debut in a final or Champions League final. I think someone called was it Peter Whiff or someone for Villa in 1982 might have made their debut in a final. But other than that was European Cup back then. But yeah, Champions League final, he's the only person to debut in the final.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. That's some fucking weird knowledge again that you got there, Some odd knowledge, but cool. He was unstoppable that game. I mean, think of the firepower that Bayern Munich had in those days. Robin and Ribéry and Schweinsteiger and Müller and Lahm and fucking, who was their strikers back
Gomez.
then? Gomez. Mario Gomez then was scary fucking player. And he just rocked up, didn't bat an eyelid, didn't give a shit, and just fucking absolutely smashed it out of the park. I mean, there's obviously going to be times, and there was when he wasn't 100%, and like certain players got the better of him. But you're in their backyard, it's Champions League final, you're against all these players. It's your first game in the Champions League. You're going to be fucking shitting it. But he was unstoppable, and there was a lot of players in those games who needed to have confidence about him, like Torres when he went round. Valdez was their keeper then, right, for Barcelona.
Yeah.
Valdez, yeah. And I mean, the amount of players, like the amount of fans that were taking the piss out of him when we signed him for 50 mil from Liverpool. I mean, I hated him a little bit, but to have the bottle to go around Valdez and then get the orgasm noise out of fucking Gary Neville on the commentary. Terry, that game fucked me off. It was probably one of those red cards where when your own team gets a red card and you watch it, you're thinking, no chance, absolute nonsense. That's not a red card in the slightest. But then to see him need a bloke in the back, you're like, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you know what? Like,
It's
I'll
such
give
a
him
stupid
that.
thing to do. Still to this day, I still don't understand what on earth he was thinking of doing. But thankfully, it didn't cost us in the end. But yeah, it was ridiculous.
He was just trying to bully him, wasn't he? Basically, he's a
Yeah.
small lad. Alexis Sanchez about 5'6", and he's 6'2", and it's like, why do you need to do that?
It was like the Zidane Materazzi moment. It's like maybe Sanchez said something, or maybe he was winding him up. But you think you're going to get away with that in a stadium that fucking big with all the fourth officials? I mean, obviously VAR wasn't in play then or anything, but you weren't going to get away with it, mate. There's no chance you getting away with it. It's fucking stupid. And then he then did a full kick wanker moment in the final, didn't he? When he went on the pitch and fucking the whole little get up. 2021. I thought
Tough one, isn't it? Yeah.
Come back to you.
I'm trying to think if there's an obvious one I can think of, and maybe Mendy. Mendy then was the only decent season for us he actually had. When we got our money's worth out of him. Other than that, I can't think of anything. Mount, he was all right during that season, and we obviously made a lot of money off of him for no fucking reason whatsoever. But hey hi. Pulisic was not Pulisic. I was Havertz, sorry, for what he actually did by scoring that goal. Maybe him, but there was nothing stand out that I can think of. I mean, unless you guys can think of someone and flip the question a little bit, but I can't think of anyone that made me go, wow.
But that's the whole point, isn't it, really? It was a team effort. It was a squad effort. Like that to me was like, because people might say it was a shitty squad, but actually you had arguably the two best wing-backs, full-backs in the league in Chilwell and James, didn't you?
100%, yeah.
And you had one of the best
midfielders
in the world in Kante. Not Jorginho. I know people were expecting me to say that. Mendy, like you say, he was on fire at times, particularly semi-final. Mount, I actually think, the games against was it against Porto he scored, wasn't it? And then he scored against Real Madrid. Mount might be my answer actually, but again, it's not much between people, is it? And even Ziyech in the game against Atleti at home, Giroud for his own red kick. I would probably, if I was to answer that question like almost in reverse, to go to the more recent final, I'd probably go with Mount because he scored important goals and he never let it up as well. Like his tempo, I think it helped to set the tempo for the team. His intensity.
He was brilliant that season. He was brilliant. Got to give him that. As much of a scumbag he is now, we got to say he did do a lot. For me, I think I have to go with Kante. He was immense. Even in that final, I remember watching a few highlights not that long ago, and he was brilliant. It's just everyone knows what he's about. The non-stop, dogged work. He's just constant, on people, running around, full of energy, interceptions, playing passes, going forward. So much to his game, and he was unbelievable for me that season. And I think James and Chilwell got to get a special mention. Our defense was amazing as well. Rudiger, Dave. Who else was at the back there?
Christensen came on for Thiago Silva.
Thiago Dini, yeah. I mean, everyone was amazing, but I think Kante for me. If I had to pick one, I'd say Kante. Can't really comment on anyone else. For 2012, now I think for me, for the final itself, I have to go with David Luiz and Cahill because of the fact I think Luiz. One of them was injured, weren't they? I can't remember who it was. Or was it both of them?
But both I said to my dad earlier, actually, hamstring injuries, and today you're out for like flipping 6 to 8 weeks minimum, aren't you?
Yeah, there you go. So I didn't even remember if it was both of them or not. But yeah, as you just said, it was both of them. So it's even more, of a testament to them both of what they managed to do coming into a final where everyone expected Terry to start, obviously, the leader, the captain, and for them both to come in and having not played for weeks on end or whatever it was. Cahill, bear in mind we only got him from Bolton in that winter period as well, coming in and just putting on that defensive. I mean, it was all based on Bayern all over us, more or less attacking. Obi Mikel, special shout out to him. He was great in that role as well for that whole campaign. But yeah, for me, David Luiz and Cahill were amazing. Even like Luiz's penalty, fuck me, the way he just steamed into that spot and just whacked it in. All the penalty takers as well. But obviously, Mata missed it, and a lot of people, you got to remember, we were 3-1 down in that penalty shootout, 3-1 down, and still managed to get it done. Speaking of that point, when Mata missed his first penalty, I was like, oh, that's it. It's all over. It's going to be all over again. Losing on penalties, and you get the negative emotions going through your head straight away, especially when they go 3-1 up and Neuer fucking stepping up and knocking away a penalty. You're like, yeah, this ain't going to be our day. And then Petr Cech, Olic's penalty was weak, but you can only say that after it's been saved. He could have Cech could have dived the wrong way, and would have gone in. It would have never been thought of. But yeah, the Schweinsteiger one was obviously very lucky. Getting a fingertip.
He got a hand to it, didn't he?
Yeah, he got fingertips or hand to it and hit the post. And obviously, I remember him talking about in the documentary how he was trying to keep his body as straight as possible, just so his legs don't flick back and possibly touch the ball and go in. It wasn't just a matter of the save. He had to make sure he didn't get rebounded in as well because he knew he had to hit the post. And then obviously, with Drogba stepping up and scoring that penalty, because 2008 we were in the same situation. Terry stepping up, you score that penalty, you've won the fucking Champions League. So yeah, when Drogba stepped up and again short run up, and I was like, oh for fuck's sake, what's going to happen here? But yeah, thankfully he knocked it away, and the rest is history. But yeah, I think the defenders for me in 2012 and 2021 definitely Kante. Tom, have you managed to pick out someone yet, or are you still not? For 2021,
I'll probably go Rudiger. I mean, I completely forgot about him and Kante. I mean, they were workhorses, and Rudiger is someone I love with a passion. Coming back onto that penalty shootout, there's two things. Not that I got a sixth sense, but when someone is going up to the penalty box and they're about to take their penalty, I've got almost one of those sixth senses where I can look in their eyes and I can look at their face and go, he's going to miss it. He does not look confident. He's going to bottle it, or he's going to fucking basically try to pass it into a certain corner. And people like the David Luiz, I mean, the guy has got a poker face. I mean, you just can't tell anything about him because he's such a hard fucking hitter. And that was probably one of my most favourite penalties of all time. Apart from that penalty and the Saka penalty against in the recent Euros, was it against the Swiss?
Switzerland.
Yeah, where he had the bottle because he had been literally like the racial abuse and all the abuse that he got after the other Euro final, and he stepped up to the plate and he had the absolute bottle just to ease in that ball into the back of the net. Also, the Germans, when it comes to penalty shootouts, everyone knows how regimented they are, how anal they are, how hard they are to beat at penalties, and we just fucking Czech just knew everything about them. I mean, we had the confidence going into that shootout. Again, it's one of those seasons again where we were absolutely terrible, but coming into those big games, confident.
He dived the
Really,
right way for each penalty. He said he
exactly.
studied them all very well. He was just the only one he was unsure about was Neuer, so that put him off. But he still dived the right way. So yeah, he did. He obviously did the homework on it. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, as I said, when you go 3-1 down in a penalty shootout, you're always obviously thinking the worst. But yeah, Ollie's stepping up and missing that one. I think yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why I loved the England-Colombia game as well, like with that shootout, because it was very similar. And Trippier just boomed it in and did the sort of understated fist pump, like, we've got this. And it's very similar. The Luis one, he absolutely roofed it, but like Trippier's one, he just coolly just like top bins. And whereas like Luis just went a million miles an hour, didn't he? He just boomed it and then gave some to their fans and like, you know, trying to roll them up, and it was brilliant. I love all that sort of shithousery. I'll do exactly the same as well, by the way. If it was me, I'll be like trying to just give it back and, you know, unsettle their fans.
So I think we can all agree the 2012 one was special in its own right. Obviously, with all the difficulties in the season and the Napoli 3-1 down coming back. Obviously, Benfica was more or less, pretty straightforward. But that Barcelona game as well, 2-0 down, red card. You know, and yeah, again with Bayern Munich and everything we've discussed, I think it was definitely being the first one as well. It was the more stressful, but the most special one for sure.
I would say for me, my player is still going to be that whole tournament 2012 is Drogba, because even the Valencia game where we had to win it because AVB's arse was on the line, not for the first time obviously that season, but we won it 3-0 at home, and then absolutely massive. And then actually off the line against Napoli was I remember turning someone in a pub, or mates in a pub, and said that's the absolute pivotal moment, because obviously AVB had played like the likes of he sacked off all the old guards. He played Basinga at left back, which actually isn't the worst thing ever, because Basinga did play extremely well in the game in 2009 at left back against Messi. So but he was just being a bit of an arrogant prick, wasn't he? AVB with the more senior players. Can also say as well, John Obi Mikel in that final, Jamie Redknapp said he was putting out fires everywhere. He basically had a fire extinguisher on him, and he's almost like running around with an extinguisher.
Yeah, he was brilliant in that final. Absolutely brilliant.
Superb, isn't he? Like, he's such a calming influence, and people never really gave him the credit. I've never actually appreciated him as much until recently, because I actually think he's better than the likes of Kovacic.
Oh yeah, I would say so. Kovacic has more to his game. He's got speed. He can dribble. Mikel can't do that. Yes, but defensively, when you're talking about defensive midfielder, Mikel was one of the best defensive midfielders Chelsea have ever had alongside Makelele. I mean, even Kante gets dubbed a defensive midfielder, but he's got so much more to his game. He does more than Kovacic. He's got the defensive side, plus he's got the going forward. He can dribble. He's got the speed. So he's like the perfect player, Kante. You know,
when you've got that energy to burn, it's like it would be a waste not to. But I know Sarri and then Lampard tried to play more advanced, and it was like the fans were up in arms when Sarri did it. When Lampard did it, it was all right. You know, it's typical fickle football fans, but like it is. Mikel's story is amazing because he wasn't bought to be a defensive midfielder. He was meant to, for Nigeria, he played as a more advanced midfielder and got some assists. Whereas for us, he was like always just dumped in the defensive, more kind of conservative role. But he excelled at it.
I think also Lampard, he has to get a special mention. Lampard taking over in the semi-final as captain. I know he was a vice captain anyway, but to lead that, finish that game off, and then captain in the final. Bearing in mind he was always, in my eyes, an attacking midfielder, but then obviously he sort of converted into a defensive midfielder alongside Mikel, didn't he? For that game, did he?
Yeah. We had 4 players suspended, didn't we?
Yeah, so I mean, what he did as a captain as well, and the fact that he led us to 2 trophies, as captain, including the Europa League the following year. I know he had this shitty run with management with us, but I think for me, he is my favourite Chelsea player of all time, Frank Lampard. I mean, the amount of joy that guy has brought me over the years, both as a player and you know, with last-minute goals and goals all over the place. You know, for me, he is my of all-time favorite Chelsea player, 100%.
He is for me. He is for me. But the main reason why he's not is back in 2004 when Chelsea were training next to Heathrow Airport. My stepmom's co-owner of the cafe that she still owns, but when he was the owner, he took me to the Chelsea training ground when you could actually rock up to the training grounds and watch them train and then get autographs and pictures and so on and so forth after. So I got a picture with Gulacini, Makalele, Jeremy, Terry, so on and so forth. Lampard blanked everyone. Lampard went straight into the changing room, didn't even look at the fans. All the fans were asking for a picture and for him to sign this and a third. Blanked everyone. All the other fans and all the other staff had time for the fans. So as soon as he did that, I was like, I love him, but he's a fucking prick. He's absolute
Well,
prick.
I never meet your heroes. I had the same with Ider Johnson, and in fact, fortunately, I had some dickhead outside going about a million miles an hour down my road.
Yeah.
My kids. You might have caught that, but yeah, Ider Johnson was the only person who was bang out of order to me out of all the squads. Even people like Wayne Bridge is playing pool with someone, Sean White Phillips, you know, SEN, John Terry, Robert Huth, Curichini, Carlton Cole, yeah, all these people brilliant, and it was just one dickhead that has to ruin it, isn't it? And for you, that was Lampard, sadly.
Yeah, and another person who was really, really nice, Adrian Mutu. Mutu was the nicest one out of all of them, and he was a fucking coke addict. It just fucking amazed me. He was sound as a fucking pound. He was good as gold, and at the same time, he was fucking tooting away. But anyway, sorry.
I'll tell you a story about Mutu actually. In primary school, I think it was year 7 or something, or year 8. My password when we were doing IT, my password was Mutu. And one of the guys saw me typing it in, and that became my nickname for a couple of years. One guy actually, even up until year 11, he'll call me Mutu just because I had that as my fucking password while I was at school.
A bit like the Pokemon.
Say that again?
Bit like the Pokemon, Mewtwo, you remember?
Oh yeah. I think one or two people might have assumed that's what what he was referring to when he called me that. But yeah, I mean, literally, it was my password, and he saw me type it in, and he kept calling me Mutu. And a couple of them called me that literally through my whole school run. So yeah, that was a funny story about Adrian Mutu. But he started off really well. For us, I remember him banging in a goal. It must have been against Birmingham. I think you can remind me, McSweeney. I haven't got a clue.
He scored against Leicester, Spurs. Got brace against Spurs, didn't he? Or
yeah, that free kick he scored, that long range free kick. Do you remember where he rolled in along the ground or something like that? I remember him scoring a goal.
Yeah.
I was watching the highlights on ITV. It was at the time, wasn't it? The Premiership or whatever it was called.
Garbage, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go back to the finals themselves. But I mean, genuinely, do you both think? I mean, we are gonna honestly get anywhere near what we were once upon a time with the new shitty board that we got, new shitty owners, this whole obsession with young players, obviously no leaders in the team, no real, experienced players. I think that's our downfall, and it will be for many years to come. Maybe in 5 years' time, yeah, once these lot have gelled, but being Chelsea, us lot growing up in the age that we have, we've been pretty lucky to be obviously spoilt with a good run of trophies and victories, but I just don't have any hope right now. Like, back in the day, I'd wake up every day there was a Chelsea game, and I'd have a little boost in my step. I'd be like, oh yeah, great, the game's on later on today, and that's on the forefront of my mind. I'm going to watch the game today. I'm going to watch Chelsea regardless of who the hell we're playing. Now it doesn't even, it's nothing like that anymore. Yeah, I don't even watch some of the games nowadays. It's on in the background. I'm not really paying attention to it. Like, I don't know. Do you guys honestly think we're going to go back to that how we used to be, and possibly even going far in the Champions League?
But never say never, isn't it? I mean, you even said it earlier. Within 12 months, I was at a game where we got pumped 3-0 at home by Bayern Munich. in the 2019-2020 season. And then I plans to go out on Paddy's Day of all days, Tom, to the return leg. And Tunde's like, "You're wasting your money, don't go." And I'm like, well, the whole point is I'm going to Germany, going to Munich, obviously all the beers and stuff. And people just saying, like, ridiculing us, even Arsenal fans, and they're an absolute pile of shite at the moment in time. We're saying, "Oh, you guys aren't going to win it anytime soon." And then 12 months later, we go and win it. It's like, in football, that happens. Like, England have won penalty shootouts. It's like, I think England are going to win the trophy at some point in my lifetime. I don't know when, but I do think, back to your question, it's just they set us back so much now that I can see why you think that way. They just, like, again, that in order for us to get back to where we were, we need to get rid of this manager. We need to.
He's got to go. 100% scumbag's got to go.
Get rid of the two co-sporting directors. Them to come out and say, they hold up their hands and say they've made a mistake, which they won't do. But I know Todd Bowley comes and does appearances every now and then on whatever media channel, and just say, right, we're actually going to take it seriously now, and we're going to get a proper manager in, and we're going to actually, a proper manager can sort out our defence and just take it from there. But I think we could do, but at the moment it's looking a bit bleak.
What are you, Tom?
Well, we need to qualify for the Champions League first with a little bit of elegance and ease, instead of it being a 7-horse race for the last 2 or 3 spots, and we're coming up against teams like Newcastle and Nottingham Forest and Villa, who in all honesty could beat us on any day of the fucking week by how iffy and weird we've been this season. I mean, at the start of the season, like, Palmer was scoring goals left, right, and centre for fun. I scored in the first 4 goals in the first half against Brighton, and then been asked the question, "Do you honestly think that you guys are going to be able to win the league?" And then Palmer was like, "No, shut the fuck up. No, like we're still like work in progress." And you look at And then you look at the way that the season's gone now, and you're like, mate, we are major work in progress. He's like been non-existent for the last 3 or 4 months. Jackson's finally got himself on the score sheet. We've got too many Chiefs, but not enough Indians in the team who play the exact same fucking position. Who, like Matt Allen, in our WhatsApp chat, will always send us through like links of us being like transfer room and for like another striker or for like another winger, and he goes, "Yeah, that's exactly what Chelsea need now is another winger to add on to the boatload that we got on the team already." But we need players who are dogged players in Europe, who understand Europe, who can play in Europe, who can bring us into Europe and not into the Conference League against teams from fucking Iceland and Norway. And who we got Djurgården from.
I barely know. I like to think even on FIFA I've like messed about with different leagues and stuff, but like I hadn't even heard of them.
Yeah.
I just about heard of Servette, and we lost to them in the qualifiers, didn't we? So in the second leg, we went through, but. And critically as well, we need to get a better goalkeeper. I mean, he's absolutely cooked.
He kept the clean sheet yesterday, mate, and he was man.
He did a donkey.
With his ball at his feet, which annoyingly now is the way everyone wants to try and copy Guardiola. The guy just cannot do it. Time and time again, he just ends up just finding opposition playing, and your heart's in your mouth, isn't it?
Lads, don't worry. Don't worry about goalkeeping situation. We've got Lord Kepa coming back next year. Don't worry. It's going to be.
I'll tell you what I'd rather have back. Asmir Begovic is rotting on Everton.
Oh, yeah, I saw that yesterday.
He was training with AFC Wimbledon, I think, like last season. I'd have him back. I'd have him back to a free.
I would as well.
He'd probably have like Mark Ambrosio ahead of like some. I mean, I feel sorry for Jurgensen because he's absolutely ruined his confidence. He's put him in, and then he's basically thrown him under the bus, and then
It was that one error, wasn't it? One
Against
error he
Villa.
had.
Yeah.
One error, and that was it. You're back on the bench again. Whereas Sanchez makes errors. Well, it seems like one every game or multiple errors during a.
Is he not the highest in Europe? Or
I
top
think
5
so.
European leagues?
I think so. I think so. He's just such a donkey with his feet and with his saves, and he should not be anywhere near that starting lineup. But I think personally, I would love to see Maresca get sacked before the final, if we make it that far, and just get someone else in, or let bloody Lampard if he wasn't with Coventry.
Robbie Di Matteo, and bring Robbie Di Matteo for the Club World Cup as well.
And he's back.
Just interim basis, and then get someone else lined up. I don't care who it is. If it's like Thomas Frank or someone, anyone's better than this clown, isn't it?
He just riles me up every week, especially when we're playing shit. But you know what? The one catalyst of when we started becoming shit was the Conference League group stage finishing, and that fucking Mudryk getting his ban. Ever since he's got his ban, we've been shit. So we need the Lord Mudryk back again. He was the player making our team good, mate. Trust me.
Have I read or heard something recently that he took a lie detector test and all came back negative?
Yeah, there's all these conspiracy theories about those scumbags from a certain country scuppering him with the test and stuff. I've read loads of shit online. You know, what better way to bring down his country by exposing him for something that those other scumbags have been caught for many a time. But you know what it is? He obviously took a polygraph test or whatever it is, and he was, I mean, you can't really go off that, can you? Bottom line is, it was in his system. He should have been more careful. Regardless of whether it was intentional or unintentional, it still made its way into his system. And in this day and age, you've got to be really fucking careful, especially as as footballers and all sports stars. To be honest with you, I remember, like, I know we're going off a bit topic now, but I remember once when I think someone was boxing and they went to a foreign country. They literally use their own bottled water that they took from the UK just to not avoid any of this crap about getting caught with drugs and stuff. Now, literally, people do this stuff where they have their own chef and they will only eat whatever their own chef makes, or drink bottled water from their own source. They won't drink anything or eat anything at restaurants and stuff. This is like how it can be sometimes. But yeah, again, going back to the original question about are we going to ever get there again anytime soon, we're definitely not getting there next year. I'll tell you that for now. I've been saying for months, it feels like we're not going to make top 5 because we're just so shit. And that's after Ipswich game. That Ipswich game at home, drawing 2-2 is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And that is enough, I think, to mess us up. Is this, I know we're as I mentioned, we were going to do like a season review at the end for Chelsea season, and I mean, one question I was going to ask is whether the season would be a success. And I think even if we win the Conference League, it still isn't a success, because if we're expected to win that fucking trophy, come on, it's a Mickey Mouse Cup with the clubs that you've never heard of in your life. But yeah, at least it will be a game I can watch on TV. Hopefully, if we get through the Juggard and whatever the hell their names are, and look forward to Europa League. One more question I want to ask you both, and I know we've got 5 minutes left, and I've had this debate with so many people in the past. Would you rather go into the Europa League knowing you've got a great chance of winning it and expecting to win it, or go into the Champions League knowing that you're probably not going to win it? Tom, you first.
Champions League, knowing that we're not going to win it, because Champions League is a creme. It's still a creme. I mean, to still like to play those big European teams in a normal season, and not when you're out abroad on a pre-season out in fucking the US would be nice, because those kind of pre-season games in New York in like a 120,000 seat stadium where no one gives an absolute bollocks about what the result is. I would rather play in the group stage game against Bayern Munich again, when I can actually watch it and it feels like a European game. These matches that we're playing just feel like a pile of shit. I mean, it's one of those where if we don't win it, then the season's not going to be a success. I mean, who have we got potentially in the final? It's either Real Betis or Fiorentina, who
Yeah.
domestically are having really good fucking seasons. I mean, Anthony, who used to play for Man U, has now gone to Real Betis and he's their best player. He's scoring goals left, right, and centre, and he's like assisting goals left, right, and centre.
Yeah, Fiorentina have lost the last two finals. Sorry to butt in. They've lost the last two finals against West Ham and against Olympiacos, so they're out for third time lucky as well.
Yeah, so it's one of those. What about you, Simon?
Well, at this moment in time, I'd rather win something, basically. That'd be Europa League. But yeah, I think so, because it is kind of win-win, because you would then obviously qualify for the Champions League the year after. I'm just thinking contextually, with our players maturing more, like Mudge said earlier, it would probably set us up better if we were to do that. Obviously, in the years gone by, I'd rather we were in the Champions League, and normally any other time. But because they've totally undone all the good work from previous, 15, 20 years, basically, in a space of a couple of seasons, I'd probably say at this moment in time, Europa League, but in the grand scheme of things, of course, Champions League, I'd normally say that, but gun to heads, Europa League, win.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I said, I've had this debate with many Chelsea fans and just fans in general, and I've always opted, like, for me, winning something at the end of the season is really important. And yes, of course, you'd rather be in the Champions League and win it. Yes, the games are more exciting, as Tom referred to. But for me, like, again, if there's no chance in hell we're going to win Champions League, I would rather be in the Europa League, or at the very least start off in the Champions League, and finish third place or whatever we have done in the past, and go on to win. I'd rather win a trophy, win the Europa League, celebrate, a European trophy. You get the opportunity as well to play in the Super Cup. Yeah, I know people don't give a shit about it, but a trophy is a trophy. For me, at the end of the day, I want to see Chelsea winning trophies, and I want to be celebrating, watching games and celebrating on the, watching them lifting a trophy. That for me is the number one. So I would go for Europa League over Champions League. If we've got a realistic chance of winning Champions League, then obviously it will always be Champions League first. But yeah, that was nice to reminisce about those two wins. It won't happen again for a long time, I can imagine. So yeah.
That being said, though, mate, you said that you'd rather win something in the Europa League. We've just spoken for an hour about winning the Champions League. We haven't spoken about winning the Europa League. We
will have, after the Conference League is over. I know we're going to have a season review for the Premier League, but we can do an ep on trophy. I think we should do an episode of Chelsea trophies down the road, including FA Cups, and because I'm going to discuss a few of those finals as well.
Top three, everyone's top three.
Yeah, something like that.
In order of their favourite wins. Should we take off Champions Leagues and just keep it to domestic and Europa?
More or less. Yeah, but let's see if we can get the trophy lifted at the end of the season. And
got to beat Joker's Garden first, so yeah.
The Joker's.
All right, guys, 20 seconds left. Thank you again, and same time again next week. We'll see you then.
Nice.
Have a good one. Cheers.
Bye.